The following video is sponsored by Sign and Graphic Solutions.
Sign and Graphic Solutions proudly offers professional vehicle graphics and wraps. Wrap your vehicle with your company logo or favorite design. Vehicle wraps are like giant moving billboards, only more affordable and fun. So why invest in a static billboard? For the price of 1 month's rent, you can own your own mobile advertisement that will last for years. Sign and Graphic Solutions offers vehicle wraps that are durable, washable, removable, and won't damage your vehicle's factory paint. Expose your business to thousands of potential customers every day with a vehicle wrap. Wrap it!
We are so honored by all of you who would come today to share this special day with us and to recognize a gentleman who has been a pillar in this community and helped us in our schools. And I'd just like for our board members again to stand, and the members of the superintendent and his wife, Dr. Karen Barker, and Assistant Superintendent Dr. Mark Guy, and his wife, Ms. Sherilyn Guy. I also see Mr. Nixon. I see Mr. Jerry Farmer. No, Davis. And Mr. Whitlock. These are all persons who have come, young people. I think it's important for you to know that they're the ones who make sure that everything is working in our school. They are at the head of our school board and make sure that you have a facility, that we have a job, that we are serving you. And for them to take time out of their schedule, not acknowledge my dear friend, Mrs. Deborah Colbert, who also drove, and Mr. Lee Howard, who drove from Atlanta to be here today to play our musical prelude. For some of you, I did mention, she doesn't like for me to mention, but she is the sister-in-law of the most famous actor, Mr. Samuel L. Jackson. So she is his sister-in-law. Thank you for coming. Would you stand, Deborah, please? Thank you. Next, we will have a portrait presentation. We thought it was only fitting that a gentleman who knows the gentleman would be the one who present that. So as Mr. Michael Wilson is coming forth, he's going to share this portrait. And we will also be acknowledging our other WDA principals. We're so thankful that Mr. Vernon Mayman has given us the privilege of his leadership and also some liberties that we can do here at WDA. We talked about a hall of principals, a hall of fame, a hall of principals, and we will be presenting, having pictures of all of the former principals at WDA posted around our building. So to Mr. While he's getting ready, I also want to acknowledge, he's not here, Mr. Tracy Alford, who attended schools here in Coweta County, who has a fond appreciation for Mr. Dowdell, actually did the framing of this picture portrait that Mr. Wilson would be presenting, and in his absence, Mr. Tracy Alford for doing the framing.
Thank you, Dr. McRae. 25 years ago, I was living and working in Birmingham, Alabama. I received a phone call from a man named Mr. Winston Dowdell. Being that our families had very special ties in a little place called Opelika, Alabama, I attentively listened to what he had to say. He asked if I was ready to return to the classroom after having been a substitute teacher for 1 semester, followed by being a sales representative for a major company for 5 years. I answered that might be a possibility. He invited me to come to a place that I'd never heard of, a place called Noonan, Georgia, and to visit some schools and to meet several principals throughout the county. When I arrived, I found in Mr. Dowdell a man with a plan. His dream was to see more black men and black women in the educational arena and those of us who could make a difference in the lives of the students and the children of Coweta County. Because of that dream, I too am a product of his vision. I was impressed by him taking the time out of his busy schedule. He drove me around to various schools, introducing me to several of the county's administrators. I was overly impressed with one principal, Mr. Allen Wood, who took an immediate liking and concern out of this old Alabama boy. And it was there that I planted my roots, and I remained at Noonan High School for 10 years, teaching 9th grade English. See, that's the kind of person that Mr. Dowdell is. He's a kind, he's a soft-spoken, he's a caring, he's a concerned educator who simply does not place a person in a position, but he and his lovely wife, as I call V, made sure all of my needs as well as my housing were met. Today, if I had to say to Mr. Dowdell, I would simply say, you don't know what you did, how you took the time and were concerned about this little old boy. Mr. Dowdell is you can call him in the middle of the night, and one of the things, or you can call him early in the morning, and one of the things that I can truly say, there will be a friendly voice who listens, who acts appropriately and in a timely manner. And without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to present and to unveil this appreciation to a man who is worthy of all of our praises. He's a father, he's a husband, he's a teacher, he's an educator, he's a principal, he's a mentor, but above all, of all of these qualities and these characteristics, Mr. Dowdell is truly a friend. Mr. Dowdell, you have been a friend. You have truly been a mentor to me, and I take great pleasure in presenting this to you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Good morning. Good morning. To the faculty, staff, and students of Winston Dowdell Academy, and especially to Dr. McCrary, I am honored to accept this portrait of me from all of you. A wise man once said, and I quote, "The slenderness of all pronouns is I, and it is also may be the least important one we use in our daily conversation. Although many individuals continue to attempt to do so, I is so slender and easy to see through. No one can hide behind it. And since I often stands alone, it obviously can't carry the weight and have as much strength and influence as we." End of quote. Please know that I share this honor with all of you because together we can make a positive difference in the lives of students as well as others. Remember, it takes the best in each of us to bring out the best in all of us. Nelson Mandela once said, and I quote, "Education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world." End of quote. Students, let us get equipped today to meet the challenges of tomorrow. With that said, I was so excited, I wrote 2 speeches. I wrote a long and a short one. So I give you the short one. Thank you. But it seems there might be enough time for the long one as well. Thank you very much. May God
At the end of our program, we will now have the introduction of our wonderful speaker by Chris Washington, and then we are in for a special treat from our guest speaker today.
Today we are honored to have our special guest speaker, Ms. Dowdell. In 1964, Ms. Dowdell attended the school in Walker's Fairfield Halls when it was Fairmount Elementary. He graduated from Noonan High School in 1971 and from Morehouse College in 1975 with a BS degree in Fine Arts. He was encouraged by his third grade teacher. He is a family man. He has been married for 20 years and has 3 grandchildren and 3 children. Mr. Smith is a businessman and owner of 2001 Art Studio in Atlanta. He is smart and creative and has been in the sign and design business for 30 years. He is a political man. He is serving his 4th year as the 5th District County Commissioner for Coweta County. Mr. Smith is a man of God. He is a minister and pastor of Birch Chapel Church. Please join me in welcoming our guest speaker, a blended man, a family man, businessman, political man, and man of God, Mr. Al Smith.
I bring you greetings in the name of the Board of Commissioners of Coweta County, and it is indeed a great honor and privilege to stand before you. I'd like to thank you for coming. Thank the school board and all the officials that are attending that represent the educational status in Coweta County at this time. I was honored when Dr. McCray asked me to come and speak on behalf of Diversity for Black History Month. I was extremely pleased when I found out that it was for the Winston Dowdell Academy. So I'd like to thank her. I'd like to thank Winston Dowdell and his wife. I also have some friends and acquaintances in the audience. I really would just like you to know that it is important for us to support our students. I don't want to overlook anyone. I have a fellow minister in the group this morning, Minister Colton, and other friends. What I want to say to the students is that of all the adults that have come forth and stood before you, Dr. Arthur McClinton, who played so wonderfully, we all at one point or another were standing or sitting where you were sitting. So, just to be very brief, I was talking to Dr. McCray about what I should say to the students. And this message is to the students. But if anyone can glean something from this, there's a plus. I heard Dr. Joseph Lowry say over Mount Sinai one day that there is no progress without struggle. It's a simple statement. That if you look at nature, you will see that as a seed germinates and prepares to come through the earth, it has to struggle to get through the earth. If you watch a child that is trying to first begin to sit up or turn over, there's a struggle involved. As we go through life as young people, there's a struggle involved. when babies first start learning to crawl, they struggle to go forward. But if you ever watch them, they end up going backwards. So they struggle with trying to go forward for a while until the motor senses and the nerves catch up and their minds start to realize that if I need to go forward, I need to push in another direction. So this is what I have come to know in my life. I was born across the tracks next to Cliff Circle. There's a little bungalow house, sits over there kind of back. Had 3 rooms, outdoor bathroom. I struggled in that house because we had outdoor toilet and we had wood stoves, and I used to pick up coal off this railroad track so that I could take it home to burn it in the stove. I struggled. I thought that my life was doomed for failure because I lived in a 3-room house, not a 3-bedroom house, a 3-room house, had a living room, 1 bedroom, and a kitchen. And I was going to Howard Warner Elementary School from 7 in the morning to 12 at noon, and then the other kids were going from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock until this school was built. In the 4th grade, the schools were shifted to Fairmount so that we could have all kids to go to school from 8 to 3. And it was something that wasn't very pleasant to me at the time. And so we struggled with that. We often hear the term that you need to go to school to become educated. And when you hear people talk about education, sometimes it's a turnoff. Because when you hear folks say they're educated, it oftentimes involves some type of degree or some type of achievement or diploma. I just want to share with you this morning, education is an accumulation of knowledge. The knowledge that you accumulate becomes your education. You learn how to tie your shoes, you gain knowledge. You learn how to ride your bike, you gain knowledge. You learn how to climb a tree, you gain knowledge. You learn how to read and write, you gain knowledge. The accumulation of that knowledge determines your education. I just want to say to you this morning that you must have a hunger for knowledge in order to become educated. The mind is a growing, expanding organ of knowledge. A mind stretched once can never return to its original form. Once you have learned something, this is yours forever. And whatever endeavor you choose to pursue in life, it has to come from your accumulation of knowledge, which determines your education. I want to say to you this morning, students, that everyone has $1 million idea. They say, what is the richest place on earth? I have been told that the richest place on earth is the graveyard, because there are millions of ideas that have gone to the grave, never to become true in the real world. And that if you have an idea, it is your idea alone, and only you can foster your idea. I've been told that an idea is only an idea until it is manifest in the world. I was fortunate enough to have a 3rd grade teacher that saw me sketch a turkey and thought that I could draw a rabbit. And I could. She saw something in me that she said, well, this young man has art talent. No one had ever told me I had art talent until Miss Elder did. But the talent in my mind could only become manifest through my hands. So whatever you have in your mind, whatever you have in your head that you think that your career will become, know that just because you can't see it now or you can't see the future now, none of us knew where we were going to end up until we started to work with our minds and our hands. The future that you want to achieve is not out there, it's inside of you. No one can get it out of you but you. Don't be fooled that reading and writing is dull and dumb and I don't want to deal with that. Because if you become successful, and I'm sure that you will, you're going to need to know how to read your contracts, you're going to know how to write whatever it is you're doing, and you're going to need to know how to count your money. And then you also have to know that the source of all that comes from in you. Life does not happen to you. Life is what comes out of you. I was on the porch one day and I was telling my father, and I was about 25 years old, and me and Dad used to talk a lot, and I said, you know what, man, seems like everywhere I go, trouble starts. And he said, everywhere you go? I said, almost everywhere I go. And he snapped his fingers. I know what the answer is. And I said, please tell me. He said, you are the problem. If trouble starts almost everywhere you go, you must be the troublemaker. So that sparked something in me. It caused me to look at myself. And as a matter of fact, he was true. It was true. Because I'm a provocative type of person. I like to poke people and ask questions that I know you don't know the answer to, just to see you struggle with the answer. But it's not a good thing. You can't endear people to you when you ask them questions they can't answer. If you want to endear someone to you, ask them a question that they know the answer to, because they will appreciate you more. So I'm just wanting to say to you this morning, no matter where you find yourself, in Winston Dowdell Academy, or if you're not in any academy, or wherever you are, whatever you're doing, know that you must have knowledge in order to succeed. There's always something to be learned or known. I've come to find out that as we go through life, we change. And then sometimes things that look impossible, on the flip side, and everything has two sides, that you can be transformed by a teacher, a word, a deed. You never know what it is that's going to spark your life. Do you know that when a cake is mixed, it's not a cake until it's put in the oven? The heat transforms it. As we go through the struggles in our lives, the struggle is what transforms you into what you are trying to be. You cannot bake a cake without heat. You cannot clean a house without some effort. You cannot achieve without some type of struggle. Don't be afraid of struggle. As you become older and more seasoned and more mature, you will learn to find that if you see trouble coming and you can recognize it, you can use it for a stair step and you can walk all over trouble. It's only when you get blindsided by trouble that it knocks you down. But you can get up, and you still are struggling, but you're still going forward. And in closing, I want to just tell you how to achieve the impossible. How to achieve the impossible. To achieve the impossible, first you must do what's necessary. In order for you to come to school this morning, you had to do some necessary things. You had to get up, put on your clothes, prepare yourself, maybe wash off a little bit, get your books, come to school. That's a necessity. In the business world, we have to do what is a necessity for us first, and that is to set yourself up, try to make a sale, and then there's a possibility on the horizon. Once you have done the necessary work, then possibilities appear, and there's something that you can reach and achieve. If you can do what's necessary, first you got to get out the house. You got to know, you got to be hungry for knowledge. And then something will appear on the horizon that you could possibly do. You may be able to make aids. You may be able to be a musician. You may be able to be a dancer. You may be able to be a preacher, a speaker, a teacher, or whatever you want to be. The possibility is there. Now, once you've done what's necessary and you try to achieve some of the possibilities, and let's say you have achieved a possibility of going on to further education or in the trade school or becoming something other than a student, then people will say what you have done is impossible. Because it was impossible for that young man or that young girl to come out of Winston Dowdell. It was impossible for Al Smith to come out of the bungalow house beside the railroad tracks to go to Morehouse to become pastor of a church, become a county commissioner. It's impossible. He could not have done that. But I'm here to tell you this morning, it's all possible through struggle. People will say what you're doing is impossible. what we're doing right now, in natural terms, it is impossible for the functions that are happening in your body that you are right now, an air conditioner, a garbage disposal, a heart and lung machine, and a movie projector, a recorder, audio visual, a robot. You can stand, you can breathe, you can talk, you can walk. This is not possible for dirt, because they said that we were formed from the dust of the earth. And you tell me this is possible for us to stand here right now, to sit here right now, to be attentive, to see, to remember, to recall, to participate, and do all this, and it's possible? People will say that it's not, but you know for a fact that it is. So as I take my seat, you can use this if you like to, but we have done so much with so little for so long that now we can do anything with nothing. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, for your encouraging message. We will remember your words and strive to do better, knowing that we can succeed. And Mr. Clinton, thank you for coming today to share your musical talents with us. We can see that you are using your gifts to help us inspire others. We are all blessed and inspired because the two of you are here today. Mr. Smith and Mr. Clinton, would you two please come forward and accept this small token as a show of our appreciation.
Thank you so very much. Let's give them both another round of applause. And to all of our students and visitors, you have been a great audience. Thank you for your presence today. We will have our final remarks by our distinguished principal, Mr. Vern Mayman.
I don't have a lot of remarks today. I just want to say that we have a lot of positive energy in here today, and we need to listen to this message that we got from our speaker here, and also we need to take this message and carry it into the future. We have introduced a lot of people today, but I want to introduce some special people. And those are the students that we here at WDA. Would you all stand, please? Every student that's in the building. Okay, at this time, I'd like the teachers to take those students back to the classrooms, and then I have a few more remarks that I need to say to the people.
Mr. Mayman, one more point I forgot to mention is all of those student participants, we want to thank you for your presence, and we acknowledge the ones who helped to make this program successful: Ms. Hazel Farrell, Mr. Michael Wilson, Ms. Leslie Adams Shannon, Leslie Adams, Ms. Campbell, those who are behind the scene, Colonel Raines, Mr. Pearson, Ms. Weckel, Mr. Mayman, all who made the program successful. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. One last thing I want to say. I tell the faculty every day when they walk through those doors that we create history. We also create history when those students come in here, because we're trying to do the best we can to help educate them. So with that thought in mind, you are dismissed.